Hi there. Excuse me. Today I think is dehydrating day for me. Um, got another project already started, and got some things that I'm going to try to get done in the next couple days. My wife and I want to go on a little camping trip out at Land Between the Lakes, where there's a little spot that we found last week, and I think we're going to do like a little shakedown here in the backwoods camp this weekend, and then maybe next week or something try to hit up the Land Between the Lakes area. So I want to make for lunches. I like a lot of soups. Um, it's it's something, but it's not heavy. So I'm going to make one of my originals. One of her favorites is a ham and bean soup. I've done it several times before. It's all canned foods mostly. So I've got a can of Great Northern beans. We're going to dehydrate them. I've got a can of pinto beans. Going to dehydrate them. Got a can of green chilies, and going to dehydrate that down. And again, all these portions here are going to break down into four. I usually use like a tuna can size of canned ham, and that works out pretty good. But it doesn't. The canned ham did not seem to rehydrate back as much as I would have liked. It's edible, it's a little chewy, but it's got a little toughness to it compared to the way it would have been before you dried it out and rehydrated it. So I'm going to try something a little bit different with this one. I'm not going to dehydrate it at all. I spent the extra money to get little Spam singles, and I'm just going to include that in the packaging. Try it two or three different ways. I might try to fry up the Spam first and then add all the soup ingredients, or I might just cut it up, cube it, and throw it in with the soup. I haven't made up my mind yet. I'm thinking I'm leaning towards the frying it up myself, but anyhow, that's my thought process on this. I think I may have made this video once before, but at one time, for a couple reasons, I took all my videos down from YouTube, and then my older ones I re-uploaded maybe about half of them. So I looked through my little library on YouTube, and I don't see this one in there, so I am remaking this one. Hopefully better than I did the first time. So give me a couple minutes. I'm going to rearrange things and get started with that. Overlook some of the noises when I move the camera around, because like I said, I've got the dehydrator going already and for a different project. But we'll get this started. It's going to take a while. Maybe 8 to 10 hours. So there's not much more that's going to be done with this one today other than starting it. But anyhow, give me just a couple minutes. I can do a lot of what I would have done in the kitchen right here. So because we're just going to put these on trays and stick them in the dehydrator. The same temperature that the other project's at, so that would be 125 degrees for about 8 hours. So still, give me just a couple minutes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drain the juice off the beans and rinse them real fast, both cans. And then I'm just going to divide this up into fourths and put it on the fruit roll-up tray for the dehydrator. So we'll be back once I get the beans strained. Alright, me show you what I got here. Ooh, that's good. Okay, I've got the pinto beans. That's just one can. I got them kind of spaced out as best I could. There's a couple that are double stacked, but as they start to dry, you can move them around a little bit. And I've got the Great Northern with two runaway pintos in there, and I've just got a spacer right here. Its all purpose is really, I just don't want to get the beans, because as they shrink up, they're going to fall through some of these little grates. I can't help that. But I don't want to get the beans into the other project that's drying now. Not that it'll contaminate it or anything, but I'm kind of lazy and I just don't feel like sorting back through it and putting each one back in its rightful spot. So now all I've got left that we're going to dry is the canned chilies, and these are a medium. I'm going to try to put these in equal little piles. They're not going to, once they dry, they don't usually amount to much, but it adds a lot of flavor back to the soup. Not so much substance, but oh, I forgot the fourth pile. No wonder. I thought that looked like it was a lot. All right. And that is going to be all that. So I'm going to take all this, put it on the dehydrator, and it's going to dry, like I said, a good 8 hours, maybe a little bit more. I suspect the chilies here will get done the fastest, but oh, did want to mention to you a couple things. The beans, both variations of them, as they dry, most of them are going to split, more so than some of these cooked ones that are already split coming out of the can are. And that's okay. In the rehydrating process, it'll help absorb water back into it, and it's gonna plump right back up most of the time to a full bean, unless you get too rigorous of a boil, and then I've had some of them just kind of blow apart, and you end up with bean meal at the bottom of your pot. But that's another thing. It's a rolling boil isn't too good in rehydrating them. The second thing I was going to mention is when they're dried up and just a little bean, a little dehydrated bean, they make a great trail snack. There's next to nothing or light or whatever, but the pinto especially have a really good taste to them as a dried out bean. So couple little handfuls in a little pouch or something on your hip, and if you're just out hiking around or just out doing something, you want just a little nibble snack, I think the pintos are excellent for that. So anyhow, I'm going to rattle if you let me. I'm going to get all these drying, and then we'll probably check in with you tomorrow. See, they're not finished yet, but they are starting to split open quite a bit. This is the beans and the chilies that we dehydrated yesterday. I turned the dehydrator off, I don't know, 7 o'clock last night or so. So just wanted to show you everything. It's going to take me a little while to finish packaging all this stuff up. I still got to make a seasoning and the mix and all that other, and get the rest of the ingredients. But now, while everything's all dry, I just kind of wanted to show you. These are how the beans came out. I don't know how well you can see them. Hope they're coming out okay. But they dried up really nice. Most of them will split open, and then, which is okay, because when you go to rehydrate it, it'll the inside of the bean will absorb all the liquid, and then the bean almost closes right back up on itself. It's kind of neat, as long as you don't bring it to a massive rolling boil. Then it kind of blows them apart, and you end up with a lot of bean meal at the bottom of the pot, like we talked about yesterday. Also, they make on their own. Make a pretty tasty snack. So that was the pinto beans. Again, I'm going to divide those up into quarters. As they shrink, they kind of fall through the grates. That's why yesterday I had that buffer tray just to help keep it from falling into the other project. I've got the little chili peppers, which are going to take a little bit of work because they're stuck to the bottom of the tray, but they really dry up to almost nothing. I'll probably have to take a little scraper and lift them up. They add a lot of flavor to the soup though, and they kind of just disintegrate into the soup broth. And then there's the Great Northern beans. Same thing, you know, they split open and whatnot. So that's the end results of the of drying all the canned beans and the chilies. I've still got some sun-dried tomatoes to chop up, and I need to make the rest of the seasoning pack for final assembly. But it is an absolute beautiful day outside. Very mild temperatures, low humidity. So I've got some yard work I need to do and some other stuff. So it'll be probably this evening before I get back to finishing these up. But morning. I've got finishing up on the bean soup. I've got them packaged up. There's really 4 packages, and the other 2 are sitting in a box someplace, ready for shipment for the most part. I've got a couple things promised out. I've still got one ingredient to add to it, some sun-dried tomatoes, and it's going to take, well, these are already diced, so when it was, originally when I came up with it, it was sun-dried tomatoes and they were just cut and halved, and I used 2 halves per little bean soup, so whatever that's going to come out to be, maybe a tablespoon and a half, maybe. I don't really know. I have to just kind of see it when I open it up. But I still got to add sun-dried tomatoes. The other variation to it that I'm having to come up with, when I first did it, I could find ham base, the Orrington Farms ham base, pretty easily in the grocery stores. Either they are out of them or no longer carrying them. It's impossible to find right now. This is beef, so I don't want to use it. So I'm going to substitute with some Goya ham base, and I'm not exactly sure as far as the amount. So if you watch the other video where we're actually going to cook and eat the bean soup, then it'll kind of experiment. So I'm going to not put the ham base in with the rest of the seasoning. I'm going to leave it separate. I'm not sure. I know we use it quite a bit with, like canned green beans and so forth, in one little pouch for a can of green beans, so it seems to work pretty good. I just haven't made up my mind yet how I want to do it. So I'm going to start with probably 1 pouch per soup, but have a second pouch on standby. And I know we talked about it before. Initially I tried canned ham and dehydrated that down, and it was good. Rehydrated most of the way, but not fully, so it still had a certain toughness, firmness to it that I didn't much like. So we're going to just keep it as Spam singles. That's really it with the bean soup. I've got it all seasoned up, minus these little things in the tomatoes, and I've still got to print some instructions, but that's really it. We're going to experiment with it. Well, not experiment. This one's one we've made a few times before. My wife will tell you a good story about we were hiking in the Smokies on a really cold, snowy day, and she was shivering, and the bean soup just kind of warmed her soul on that one. But that's really it for this video. I know I've done enough of them where it's all fully packaged now with the instructions, and this is going to be no different. So I'm going to leave this at that. Got a couple other things going on too this morning. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and I hope you come back to watch the Rehydrate, and probably going to do it as a Canteen Cup Tuesday. I think that'll be a good Canteen Cup meal. But I hope you come back to watch that, and we'll see you next time.